You're listening to Heroes in the Moment. What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And today we're breaking down Ahsoka Episode 3, Time to Fly.
Is it halfway done? Right? It's 6
No,
episodes?
it's 8 episodes.
8 episodes. Okay,
Yeah.
almost halfway
Almost
done.
halfway, but
Already.
Not quite. And to me, personally, this episode felt very Clone Wars to me. Like, it felt
very
like a Clone Wars
very
episode.
Rebels with
It
all,
was very
with all the
much.
fights and
with
stuff.
all the fights and the way that it was shot. It makes me kind of I love the fact that the show is in live action and getting to see these awesome characters that I've grown to love in live action. But it makes me wonder, what the show would have been like in animation as well. How sick
it makes me
been.
want that. I mean, because that's what we grew up with. So I'm still having a hard time adjusting to seeing it.
It is
in
hard
live
time to
action.
adjust. That's the hard part.
I love the Clone Wars. That's one of my favorite
I love it.
animated
I
shows.
completely agree, and I personally really like Rebels too. Yes, Clone Wars is better,
Yeah.
but I like Rebels a lot too. So just seeing this, and the episode definitely felt like an episode of one of those, but in live action. You know, it's just like I agree with what you're saying. Like, it feels a little bit disconnected because it doesn't feel like it's what we're used to with this show, with this type of stuff. But not to say that the episode wasn't good, because it was to me. I personally thought it was really good.
And I will say I got a lot of hints from from what's it, episode 4, right, when Obi-Wan is training Luke.
Yes, I felt that same thing,
too,
and that's how the show
additionally.
opened, right, with Ahsoka training Sabine, and then the blindfolded helmet, and you can just see Sabine does not have the Force. Is really,
I mean, if you look at the drill she's doing, they're like what the Padawans were doing in Revenge of the Sith, man.
Right.
Like, she's not that trained yet.
Right. No, not at all. I mean, she's very good at combat and very good at Mandalorian level combat.
Yeah.
But she's very blocked when it comes to Force and the use of that. And
that's because Mandalorians, they're not taught patience.
No, they're not.
They act solely on instinct right away, and then Jedi are like, yo, be calm.
Which is why I think it's fascinating. Like, when I think about Din Djarin and the Mandalorian, I think, he cut his leg the first time he was using Darksaber because he doesn't know how to, use it. And the same goes for, Mandalorians. They're just so weapon-based, and so this is the way, right? Yeah. But when you're changing those ways and trying to incorporate Jedi methods,
your whole life, that's a huge switch.
That's a huge adjustment, and you can understand and really see that what Sabine's struggle is. And I really like Sabine in this show. I think so far she's really good.
I do like her character.
I think she's really good. But like we said, that was the first scene. Ahsoka just absolutely bodying her, and also I did feel. Like, the beginning of this episode, it felt she was still that monotone, more slowed back. But I feel like in the later in episodes, it felt more like Clone Wars.
She
Ahsoka.
started to open up a little bit.
She started to open up, and I appreciate it.
And I hope they keep that going.
I do too. I hope they maintain that same level of distance there. So that was really cool. And then we cross over between them, and we get Hera and her story, and Hera meets with Mon Mothma, who is now, we realize, is now the Chancellor.
Yeah, the Chancellor of the New Republic.
Which honestly fits perfect.
I know.
Really,
she's fit. I mean, it's hard to be worse than the previous guy.
That's true. Well, the Emperor.
The Emperor. The big bad of Star Wars.
The big bad of Star Wars. Very true. But we see, and it's also cool to see this room, which is where in Return of the Jedi, they all met together and discussed their plans for the Battle of Endor.
Yeah.
I think that was really cool
to
see that back. But Hera meets with this council, and man, when I say these council members, I just want to fight them.
I know they're so dumb.
She's obviously bringing you an obvious threat, and I get what they're saying.
Yeah, and she has firsthand experience with it.
She has firsthand experience against Grand Admiral Thrawn, and he's one of
the
worst of the worst.
Coming.
And he's gonna come, and he's gonna bring back this empire. I mean, he's literally the heir to the empire. He's the next in line after Palpatine, after everybody's gone. Mm-hmm. So he's a legitimate threat, and they're like, "Oh no, we're in this time of peace and prosperity for this galaxy. Yes, we know there's still Imperial loyalists, but we're taking care of that." Clearly, you're not, because you saw what happened with that factory, right?
Yeah.
And they're falling into that same step, and this kind of also fits with today, the government aspects of not following and listening to the people and things like that. It's just
they don't care about guys like us.
They don't, and that's the tragic part,
unfortunate truth.
Unfortunate truth. And this is the same thing translated in Star Wars. This is why the original Republic fell, was because of this thing. And if you're going down those same paths, you're going to struggle again.
Yeah. What's that saying? Like, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it.
Doomed to repeat it. I mean, it's true in a lot of senses. And it actually, and we see it does happen, because obviously what happens not 20, 25 years later, the First Order comes to be, right? So you see how it kind of repeats itself there as well. So they're not listening. Mon Mothma is more listening, and she's like, okay,
she's being a real G.
Right, and Mon Mothma was in Star Wars Rebels, so she has experience with Grand Admiral Thrawn as well. So she knows what's up. She knows that it's rightful threat. But then again, I do understand what those senators are saying, that Hera does have an emotional connection to Ezra Bridger.
Yeah.
So what could be the correlation there? But what do you think? Do you think that they'll eventually go along with it, or do you think they're going to go off on their own?
Eventually, I do think so, just because, they have Mon Mothma kind of like supporting them, and obviously she's the most powerful. So eventually, it's going to keep on going. They're going to remain in doubt until they see Thrawn or evidence of him like right in front of their face.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's how it's always going to go. You have to have that conflict. Like the writers want you to feel like angry. They want you to feel upset, because that's how you should feel. That keeps you in line.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, I do think they'll be a little ignorant until he finally does appear.
Yeah. I think I think Hera will take it into her own hands a little bit too as well.
Yeah, like I said, she does have that emotional connection.
She's very much
not gonna listen. She's gonna go out there and do what she wants.
Absolutely. All right, so then we go and we see the first live action rendition of Jason Syndulla, which is really cool to see. Hera's son, Hera and Kanan's son.
The green hair, I still can't get used to.
The green hair, I know. Well, that's what he had. I mean, in the show.
I just want to punch him, man. I do
No,
really
it's
like
Jason.
He looks so annoying in
He was
Rebels.
so cute in Rebels.
I don't know. He has a punchable face, I think.
In Rebels or in this show?
Yeah, in both.
In both. He was like a little baby in Rebels.
I don't know. I feel like throwing hands. I can't lie with you.
That's wild. But no, he's really cute. But I love how he's passionate. He's like, Aunt Sabine's gonna be a Jedi. Is that like I want to train to be a Jedi?
I want to be a Jedi.
And obviously, he probably does have that Force connection because of his father. So that's cool to see.
Makes me wonder if they'd ever throw him in a spin-off or something.
I don't know. They're not going to throw him.
But I hope not.
No, they're not going to. And I mean, he's okay character. We haven't seen him. This is literally like he's had 1 minute of screen time in Star Wars. He's in the last episode of Rebels. That's it.
Yeah.
And then now here in just a minute. So he's just in it because he's connected to Hera, which is cool to see him. He's grown up a lot. He definitely looks. I know it's animation, but he looks a lot
10,
like
maybe
Kanan.
11 years old.
Probably 10 here, I would imagine so. But it's cool to see that. See him in make his live action debut there. So then we see Ahsoka and Ahsoka and Sabine and Hu Ying. They're going through hyperspace, kind of come up with a plan, like when they get there, what's going to happen, and etc. And then they drop out of hyperspace, following Jedi typical protocol, to kind of scout out the area, which is smart. Mm-hmm. And then they get attacked by, what's her name again? Shin?
Shin
and Merrick, right?
Merrick, yeah.
Shin and Merrick. And then Sabine goes off to the guns and Ahsoka flying. What do you think about this?
First of all, this was my favorite part of the episode. I mean, the episode started off with showing that, she's struggling under Ahsoka's, leadership. Mm-hmm. And I do like the fact that, Ahsoka essentially in this fight, she takes the back seat. She shows her like, hey, I trust you with my life. Here you go. And she guides you through that process. So seeing that kind of just the dynamic of the relationship and how you see it progresses, like she sucks so far being a Padawan, but they have this past together, and she's willing to give her life.
Right.
I liked it. I thought it was really cool.
I thought it was really cool too.
It felt like you said very Clone Wars.
It did feel very Clone Wars, and I like the part where you mentioned like that Sabine or Ahsoka needs to follow the ways of Sabine as well, because Ahsoka was talking to her, and she's like, you need to follow the ways of the Force, do this and do that, and that clearly wasn't working. Sabine, she wasn't shooting anybody down, and then Ahsoka's like, okay, I need to take a step back. Sabine, do what you got to do, and then she's like, okay. So they're kind of giving to each other, like they're learning together. Different ways that they've learned together.
Yeah, it's not just one way. I think that's cool.
And I think that's cool as well, that they're learning that it can't be that way. And I think Ahsoka realizes that as well, because with her relationship with Anakin was never just one man path. He was never, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, he was always picking up other ways.
Very unpredictable. He was
always breaking the rules.
Absolutely. So she realizes that, and she's like, okay, we got to do the same thing here. There is no Jedi Order anymore. There's no repercussions. Just we got to do what we got to do here to
go crazy. Is what she said.
Absolutely. So we see the first time they see the giant space, like hyperspace link there that has the ability to travel to another galaxy. Mm. And then we get this awesome scene where Ahsoka goes out into space, and this scene in particular,
I was like, "What the crap?"
Very Clone Wars,
and
that she flips and then cuts the shit. I was like, "Yeah, that was sick,
like, dude, this is wild."
I
was not expecting that.
I was not expecting it either. She looks good there, and then also awesome. The flip was just sick, and that whole scene in particular, I loved. I thought that was super cool.
All right, she's still on top of her game.
She still has that ability, even though she's in her 40s.
Still got it.
She still got it. All right, then they go into the atmosphere, and we see a clearer rendition of live action Purrgil, which we saw in Mandalorian, but they were in just hyperspace.
Yeah.
And that was, of course, foreshadowing to now. And we see the Purrgil, and obviously they recognize the Purrgil as Ezra Bridger. So they're like, this is a sign, he could still be out there.
Yeah.
And which we know he is. So
they're
that's
very
really cool.
Cute, and I want to pet him.
I want a Purrgil so bad.
I want a Purrgil. Imagine what we could do with one.
If I was Ezra, I would be all up in them Purrgil.
No.
Right, He does too. I mean, I want one to like as a horse. Just ride him through the galaxy.
Yeah,
man.
just ride him.
Love me some Purrgil.
Yeah, me too.
So they go off and they're still being pursued by Merrick and Shin, and then they land into this place, which is where we saw the Balin and them, tracing back to the new galaxy. So obviously, I feel like in episode 4 we're gonna get a fight sequence between Ahsoka and Balin. I feel like Balin may die.
He's definitely gonna die,
or
and
he may not.
Shin and Merrick gonna be like, we're the next big bads.
But it could be, or maybe Balin goes off and kills Shin because he's like,
that'd be cool.
That'd be crazy.
The master is still the master.
I like Shin,
I do too.
But we'll see. But they land there and then they're keeping their engines down. While they're flying away, and then you have Balin just like staying in his place, just overlooking the place, which foreshadows that they're gonna have a confrontation there in the next episode or the next episode. But again, that was pretty much the episode in and of itself. And
very short.
It was a very short episode. I agree.
I was kind of surprised. Like we got a lot of content in the first 2 episodes, and they cut it down a lot. For this one.
And that's interesting too. I feel like they need to not do that. I think they should follow Netflix's path here and be more consistent with the runtime because Netflix is very good when it comes to their series and original shows that their runtimes are pretty consistent.
Like they're 35.
Well, typically,
38,
35.
40,
so typically
40,
they're 40, whatever. They're the same. Or, when it comes to other projects, they're longer anyway. So I would prefer a little bit longer of screen times for these shows. I know it's money costs and stuff, but if you're going to make a show, have it be consistent with its runtimes. And I would definitely prefer that.
I mean, it just feels up and down,
Yes. But so far, I'm really enjoying Ahsoka. And like we said, this episode definitely was very Clone Wars vibes, which obviously it was because it's created by Dave Filoni. So you naturally were going to get that and things of that nature, which I think is really cool there. But I'm really appreciating where this show is going towards and how it's going, building off. I think the visuals are very good. It doesn't feel like, Mandalorian's a great show, but it doesn't feel like a set piece here.
Like a set piece.
Like Mandalorian
and that was
does
one of
often.
the biggest complaints.
And Book of Boba Fett does as well. So it feels like it's mixing Mandalorian and Andor to kind of that perfect thing right now. Kind of blending them together
I agree. I do like where it's going. I think in this next episode 4, I think we're going to see like, I don't know, either Ezra or Thrawn or something big that kind of changes the trajectory of the show.
I think it's very in my opinion, I think here's what's going to happen next episode, right? They land in this place. They're going to do some investigating. It's going to go between them and Hera. Okay. Hera's going to go and break some rules on her own and investigate some stuff on her own about Thrawn. She's going to find something, but it's not going to lead to anything yet. Yeah. And then we're going to go to Ahsoka and Sabine. Ahsoka's been searching this place. She has a conversation with Balin. Okay. Balin and her talk, and he mentions that he knew Anakin. All this stuff goes down.
Yeah, flashbacks.
Right, and then Sabine is off on her own doing some reconnaissance. Maybe she runs into Shin. Okay. And have a little bit of rematch. And Balin and Ahsoka will have a rematch. And then what will happen is they'll fight. And then either one of the two things will happen. Ahsoka will kill Balin. Okay. Balin will join Ahsoka, then die. Or he'll just get killed anyway. Okay. Some sort of their thing happened there. Or he could just live, but I don't see that happening. All right. And that's what's going to happen in the next episode. And then it's going to lead to Morgan Elsbeth, like maybe finding Thrawn at the very end of the next episode or whatever. And then season 5, we're going to get full force Thrawn. And then maybe some Ezra. Okay. I think that's how we're going in this.
Okay. So we'll have to I'd be happy if it turned out
I think that would be really cool. But we'll see how it goes in there. But overall, I'm really liking where this series is going.
All right, guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, let us know by giving us a review and a download. Our podcast, Here's in the Moment, is available on all major podcast platforms, so check it out. If you want to stay up to date with our social media, check out our Instagram, Heroes in the Moment.
And we just want to thank you all for listening, and as always, we love you 3000.